Number 17, $904,275 have been fraudulently appropriated from the Alleghany County Board of Supervisors since 2015. This statement is false, and no funds have been fraudulently appropriated from the Alleghany County Board of Supervisors. Mr. Kern arrived at this amount by adding together the alleged negative operating balances for the three previous fiscal years. For each of these years, as evidenced by the associated revenue and expenditure statements, year-end revenues equaled year-end expenditures for the balance of zero. However, if you look at the expenditure statements only, they do reflect that the actual expenditures exceeded the budget and appropriated amount. The total actual expenditures include year-end fund balance that is transferred to either Fund 2, which is the textbook fund, or the school capital fund. Also, the Medicaid reimbursement as authorized by the school board policy DAA. The school board approved via resolution this policy procedure for handling year-end fund balances on January 24th, 2011, and the board of supervisors approved the related resolution on March 1st, 2011. These year-end fund balances are transfers. They are not expenditures as confirmed by our auditing firm. As such, school operating appropriation was not exceeded in any of those years. Also included in the year-end expenditure totals are fund transfers to Jackson River Government School and Jackson River Technical Center for funds that we receive on their behalf as their fiscal agent. They are also not expenditures. For fiscal year 2015, Mr. Kern states that the information is missing and that there was no disclosures of financial statements. The current finance director and the current superintendent was not present during fiscal year 2015, and as such is not aware of the issue Mr. Kern refers to. However, the financial statements are always available through the school division's financial management system. They were also provided to and incorporated by the auditors as evidenced by a non-qualified audit for the fiscal year 2015. Number 18. GASB Statement 54 and generally accepted accounting principles allows the operating fund to have a negative balance. However, the assigned funds within the general operating fund may not. These balances are required to be zeroed out once these assigned funds with negative are zeroed out when unexpected funds can be carried over to other school funds as policies directs. Our Fund 1, our school operating, is a standalone fund and as such does not include other assigned funds within. Fund 1 school operating does include revenue and expenditure accounts to which applicable transactions are posted, and there is no requirement that these be zeroed out. Number 19, Mr. Kern stated the Alleghany County Board of Supervisors, from my knowledge, isn't aware of these negative balances and how the school funds are continuing to be replenished at the beginning of each fiscal year without any adjustments for these overexpensed amounts. First, Mr. Kern's accusation that the expenditures exceeded the appropriation from the previous 3 years is false. Had this been the case, such would have been noted in the annual audits. Second, the county annually appropriates funding for each of the school division's funds as part of their budget process. The school division cannot incur expenses in any of the funds without an appropriation such approved by the Board of Supervisors. For the supplemental funds, the appropriated amounts are typically not the fund balance but are based on anticipated expenditures for the applicable fiscal year. If, subsequent to the initial appropriations, it is determined that a larger appropriation is required, then a request for supplemental appropriation is submitted to the Board of Supervisors for approval. In addition, the treasurer of Alleghany County is also the primary manager of the school division's bank account and has full access to such. We also provide to the treasurer's office and to the county finance office our monthly ledger of revenues and expenditures for all funds so that they can balance their bank account. Suffice it is to say that the Board of Supervisors and county administration are well aware of the school division's finances. Number 20, Mr. Kern has said that $1,230,000 has been fraudulently appropriated to the Alleghany School Board and has been misappropriated. The $410,000 that Mr. Kern references in each of the 3 previous fiscal years is the Clifton Forge reversion money, and most, if not all, of the Board of Supervisors are aware of this. As a financial incentive to encourage smaller school divisions to combine, the state offered a lower local composite index for fixed periods of time. When Clifton Forge reverted to a town status and their school division became part of the county, the LCI was fixed at .2423 for 15 years, which resulted in additional state funding at that time of $410,000 per year. Rather than consume this additional funding via perpetual expenditures such as salary increases and have to come up with an offset in 15 years, the local government and school officials at that time had the foresight to budget this additional funding as a separate line item in the budget. It has been budgeted in the capital outlay replacement repair. Balance in this account that are unexpended each year are transferred to Fund 10. This money has been used over the years for major capital improvements, including the HVAC system at the high school, electrical renovations at Alleghany High School that were completed in 2014. Mr. Kern's accusation that zero expenditures have been assigned to this fund is inaccurate. First, this is an expenditure account and not a fund. Second, this $410,000 has been expended the previous 3 years to reimburse the county for the bond that was obtained to complete the funding package for the aforementioned Alleghany High School project. The associated expenditure for this bond repayment has been posted to expenditure accounts compliant with the Virginia Department of Education Annual School Report. Reporting requirements. All of this information is readily available on the detailed expenditure statements. Number 21, Mr. Kern has said 2019 has an assigned amount of $389,785 as a month end. No expenditures have been charged to this assigned fund. The money is the Clifton Forge reversion money, less $20,215 that we utilized to balance the fiscal year 2019 budget. The aforementioned bond was paid off in June 2018, so the budgeted amount this year can be used to pay for capital projects on the capital improvement plan and help offset the reduction in state funding that we realized due to the average daily membership that is lower than the level that was budgeted. Any unexpended balance will be transferred to Fund 10 at the year's end. Number 22, an assigned fund called buildings already exists. No need for facility. The Virginia Department of Education provides guidance on establishing a chart of accounts and related revenue, expenditure, and balance sheet codes. The annual school report also has requirements that reporting revenues and expenditures. We attempt to comply with the state guidelines and requirements. Facilities is a separate category from buildings with different types of expenditures being reported under each category. For example, buildings is used for reporting expenditures related to keeping the physical plant clean and ready for daily use. Facilities is used for reporting land acquisition, building remodeling, and installing or extending systems and equipment. Number 23, Mr. Kern said that the $3 million approximately has been fraudulently acquired and misappropriated in the operating fund. These amounts have been misappropriated and were used to transfer to the school capital fund. His allegation that these funds have been fraudulently acquired or misappropriated is false. In summary, the transfer of year-end operating fund balances was done in accordance with School Board Policy DAA. The information related to these transfers was provided in a public school board meeting, but financial information related to such was communicated to the treasurer and to the finance office of the County of Alleghany. The appropriations were approved by the Board of Supervisors and the transactions passed the scrutiny of the annual financial audit. Number 24, Mr. Kern says at the beginning of the 2014 school year, the school capital fund was a meager $504,249. Currently on June 30th, 2018, the capital fund was $1,957,295. The current division superintendent began in June of 2015 and had little, if any, impact on Fund 10 that year. The year-end fund balance for fiscal year 2015 Fund 10 was $1,506,691, which is significantly different than the $504,249 provided by Mr. Kern for the same period. The following, and I won't go over this, you have it, is a summary of the Fund 10 year-end balance for years 2013 through 2018. The large decline in fund balance from 2000 to 2014 was due to paying for the Alleghany High School renovation project. A sampling of other major projects that were accomplished thanks to Fund 10 is roof replacements at Alleghany High School, Callahan Elementary School, and Sharon Elementary School. Parking lot and roadway milling and repaving of Alleghany High School. Parking lot sealing at all schools and the school board office. Wi-Fi infrastructure upgrades in all schools with the Chromebook initiative. Security camera and entrance access additions and upgrades for safety. Alleghany High School fire alarm system was replaced, and the Clifton Middle School tennis court was replaced. And didn't we also replace the sound system, the PA system over at Clifton Middle School. Looming on the horizons in the future are major expenditures at Mountain View Elementary and Clifton Middle Schools, as these buildings are near 20 years of age, when major components such as the roofs or HVAC systems reach or exceed their useful life expectancies. It is fortunate, and I emphasize that, it is fortunate that our school division, in cooperation with our local government, has the capacity, as established in compliance with School Board Policy DAA, to maintain safe and comfortable facilities for our students and staff. There are many other divisions in rural Virginia that are not so fortunate, and I've had the opportunity to visit several divisions that have not been able to keep their buildings in good shape. And at that point, I commend the earlier group and the Board of Supervisors for allowing us to do that. Psychological testing. Mr. Kern stated that the budget in 2017 decreased by 96%. The budgeted amount was reduced from $18,250 to $890 in 2017 to reflect the fact that this expenditure category was not typically being used at the level to which it was budgeted. Psychological testing can fluctuate substantially due to need. The current amount of $1,000 has been sufficient for actual use the past 2 years, but as evidenced by the 7,116 actual expenditures in fiscal year 2016, there may be years with this current budget of $1,000 will not be adequate. Psychological counseling. He had some questions. He said, Mr. Kern said, not clear distinction between counseling and services. Psychological counseling is the category under which the mental health counselor is captured. Psychological services is the category under which the school psychologist is also captured. He said, Mr. Kern said, appeared in 2018. What about 2015, 16, and 17 were services provided? The mental health counselor was originally a joint program with Covington City Public Schools and was fully funded by the Alleghany Foundation. Our school division served as the fiscal agent and as a separate Fund 7. The Alleghany Foundation Mental Health Initiative was established for the program. The Alleghany Foundation ceased funding the program at the end of fiscal year 2017. Our school board opted to continue the program for the school division, which is why a budget amount appears in Fund 1 for fiscal year 2018, but not for 2016-17. Since multiple entities were no longer involved, it was necessary to maintain a separate fund. Services for this program were provided in 2015, 16, and 17 via Fund 7. 58% of the expenses were used in 2018. Effective January 2nd, 2018, the full-time mental health counselor requested to go from full-time to part-time. Her request was granted, which reduced her annual salary for the year, and she was no longer eligible for benefits. That occurred at the start of the school year. Mr. Kern also said the budget in 2019 decreased from 2018 by 40%. Per the aforementioned reduction of the mental health counselor position from full-time to part-time, the position was budgeted as a part-time for fiscal 2019, whereas it has been budgeted. Since then, it has been budgeted as a full-time since 2018. Number 27, psychological services. In 2016 and 18, budget was 40% higher than actual expenses. The current Director of Finance was not present when the fiscal year 2018 budget was prepared. It does appear, however, that an anticipated vacancy was incorporated into the amount budgeted for salary and benefits for the school psychologist position. This assumption is supported by the fact that the position has been occupied by 3 different individuals, one of them twice, from fiscal year 2015 through FY 2018. When budgeting a vacant position, an assumption of step 9 on the salary scale is now step 4 since the salary scales were redone a year ago. A master's degree supplement and a single health insurance coverage are assumed when we budget. Again, the current director is assuming this since he was not present, but that was and is the current practice for budgeting for vacancies. The subsequent employee who was hired for the position was at a lower salary and did not take health insurance. Let's see, Mr. Kern said the 2016 and 2018 budget amounts are identical. This is incorrect. The 2016 budget amount was $108,990, and the 2018 budget amount was $102,772. Mr. Kern also said the 2017 and 19 budget amounts are identical. Again, this is incorrect. The 2017 budget amount is $77,248, and the 2019 budget amount is $74,110. Mr. Kern also said about psychological services, The correlation when testing expenses were higher and services in the next year were also higher. When testing was down in the following year, services were also down. We see no correlation here as evidenced by the previously provided information. We provide the services when they're needed, and that can change monthly, yearly, daily, but we continue to provide those services. Number 28, other health services. Average of 70% of those budget expenses are used. This account is for vision impairment services, and the need can vary greatly. The amount budgeted for fiscal year 2018 was reduced by $2,156 due to less usage, and that level was maintained for FY 2019. If the budgeted amount for this account is reduced too much, then we have an increase in students requiring the service, which can happen at any time, then expenditures offset will have to be made elsewhere. Actually, currently in our current budget, we've had to add a couple of special needs positions this year, correct? Because of our enrollment has changed. Number 29, speech audiology services. Each year, Mr. Kern said each year is consistently budgeted $1,324, and 2017 there were no expenses. This account is for audiology services, and the need can vary greatly. The amount represents 5/100ths of the total of Fund 1 school operating, 500,000ths of the total Fund 1 school operating budget. And again, that's very unpredictable. We do not know what students may move in with what disabilities, and we need to provide them the services they need. Number 30, observations. These revenues, I believe, are tied to special education in one way or another and play an important observation. Prevention, at-risk, Social Security, special education revenue sources are flat when comparing budget to actual revenues. I believe that the enrollment of students with disabilities is tied to the receipt of these funds. The aforementioned revenue sources are state funds and are determined by the state funding calculation tool that is provided to school divisions each year by the Virginia Department of Education upon approval of a budget by the General Assembly. As such, budgeted revenues for these categories should be flat, to use the term Mr. Kern has used. Actual revenues received barring a significant change in the average daily membership or a reduction in state funding due to fiscal challenges, both of which have occurred in the past. The following are description of these revenues. Prevention, intervention, and remediation. SOQ, prevention, intervention, and remediation funding provides remedial services to children who need the additional instruction. At risk. Student payments for at-risk students are dispersed to school divisions based on the estimated number of federal free lunch participants in each division to support programs for students who are educationally at risk. Funding is provided as a percentage to add on to basic aid. Social Security. This funding supports the state share of the cost of the employer's share of Social Security costs for funded SOQ instructional positions. Special education. Funding for special education provides the state's share of salary costs of instructional positions generated based on the staffing standards for special education.